Hey everyone, welcome to Can't Afford to Record, the YouTube channel where we figure out the art of audio production together. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. I wanted to show sort of my journey on mixing drums lately, sort of where I've ended up with them, or where I've ended up with them on this specific track at least. And if I'm honest, I usually shy away from doing any sort of tutorial videos because I'm still learning, we're all still learning. I don't feel like I can speak from a place of authority, but I was kind of stoked about some stuff that I discovered while mixing this song and working on these drums, and I just thought I would share them with you, and perhaps that might give you some ideas for your mixes, or yeah, you just might find it interesting in general. This band writes hard rock music. They're called Torture Opera, and this song is called Monster. And for this song, I really wanted to get that larger than life drums we all sort of know and love, or at least I love, that 80s rock. Yeah, just big stadium sounding drums. And what I realized in sort of trying to find that sound in my head is that it all kind of basically comes down to compression and reverb. I'm sure there are other things too, but those are the sort of two standout elements for me. What I'm going to do in this video is sort of take you through my drum mix of the song. I'm not going to go into every single plugin and every kind of thought process behind it because I don't think that is all that interesting, and I'm sure many of you use these plugins, so I don't need to speak about them in depth. But I want to sort of focus on, like I say, the compression and reverb side of things, and yeah, hopefully give you some ideas for you to try out. Let's just give you a little idea of what's going on here. So where I found I was doing most of the work is probably on the two most important elements, which is the kick and the snare. Was it CLA says your snare drum is your most important instrument of a mix? Something like that. Okay, let's take a look at the kick bus first of all. Now, I thought I was using way more samples than I was, so I was quite surprised actually. Now, the kick originally came to me sounding like this. I'm using a lot of plugins to get it where I want it to get to. Mostly we're gating it and we are adding distortions and saturations, and there was a wild EQ in here. Yeah, look at that. That's a lot of, what even was I doing there? 23 deep, gosh, I don't even want to know. Anyway, when all was said and done, this is what it sounded like. After that, I do have a kick sample, and if I'm being really honest, the kick sample isn't actually doing all that much. If we just listen to it on its own, I think I had it in there just to give it some consistency, just to add a little bit more weight behind it. But it's not the lead kick here by any means. So we are adding a reverb to this kick, and I'm just adding in the room mic of whatever kick sample I'm using. So that mixed with the original kick, the sample, and the reverb. So now let's move on to the snare drum. And the snare drum, again, I'm using the original snare that was sent to me. There's a lot going on here, and we get it to this stage. I've got a snare sample as well. This is doing a little bit more than the kick sample was for the kick drum. So the snare sample sounds like this. Same thing again, I'm using the room of that snare sample as the snare reverb. Mix it with the snare. Mix that in with what's going on with the kick drum. Finally, this stuff is going to what I'm calling FX80s verb. So what this bus is doing is it's giving me an 80s digital reverb feel. This is an impulse response, and I got it from Bobby Huff's YouTube channel. He did a video, and I can't remember if he made the pack or one of his viewers or one of his friends did, but basically he was talking about this pack of impulse responses which are from a Yamaha SPX90, and it's a great pack. It's a pay what you can. I'm sure you can still get it. I'll link it in the description below. But for this bus reverb that I'm using here, I'm using the Yamaha SPX90 plate 1 second. So if we just listen to that on its own, it sounds like this. And then when I add that back into the mix of all the samples and all the other verbs that I'm already using. Now it's subtle. If I turn it off, it's adding a brightness, and it is adding that gated digital reverb sound that I think we've sort of all grown to love. More reverby stuff. Now the guys did send me a decent amount of room mics, but these are the ones I ended up using, or this is the one I ended up using, I should say. It's named Room Stairwell. I guess they put the microphone in a stairwell. I'm not really too sure, but without the plugins, it sounds like this. So not too bad, but I really wanted to get more length on it, so I used another impulse response on this. And this isn't from that Yamaha pack. This is, I think it just came with the Waves impulse response loader, and I'm compressing it about 3 dB, I think. So I just really wanted that to give me that sort of distance, okay? So that's what that's doing. This is a great compressor, by the way. I love this thing. I use it all the time. After that, we get into more compression, and this is my drum crush, the Townhouse, and it's doing a decent amount of compression. It's not super loud in the mix. Then after that, we are going into what I call the drum VCA bus, which is like the final drum bus. And usually on VCAs, I guess there's, it would just be a fader. There wouldn't be any more sends or plugins. I'm still adding plugins. So there's like a very minimal smiley face EQ. And then a little bit of clipping going on too. So let's just go back to the snares and the kicks. And this is what the snares, the kicks, the samples of those, the 80s reverbs, and the room mic, and the drum crush compression, this is what that all sounds like together. So I think one of my goals of this were, how good can I just get that kick and snare sounding with the compressions and the reverbs and all that stuff? So when I add in all the other elements, everything comes together. And that's what this final drum mix hopefully sounds like. That's kind of all I wanted to show and talk about today. We could have spent hours on this, I guess, going through absolutely everything, but I just wanted to show you the standout parts for me of this drum mix. Big thank you to Torture Opera for letting me use their drums for this video. If you want to check out the song, link is in the description. If you enjoyed the video today, then please feel free to leave me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel, and if you like it more than that, then you're more than welcome to subscribe right here on Can't Afford to Record. I'll see you soon.